you are the reason, you are the biggest reason whether or not you'll succeed.
Work ethic of prudence, which is the ability to make the right decision, consistency. If you don't have that, it doesn't really matter.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, number 584, One Hard Truth That You Need to Hear. Today, for episode number 585, why it is up to you. So at the end of the day, your success is up to you.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to go more into this, but you can read the best book, you can buy the best online course, you can have the best email template, you can, whatever it is, you can hire the best coach, but you are the one who's putting in the effort.
Right.
And people can assist with that, but they can't do it for you.
You remember, I believe this was Influencer and Anthony Trux's speech. He talked about the techniques versus the technician. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
This is kind of what this episode is about. It's funny because the last episode was about the one thing you need to hear. This is the second thing you need to hear. No, but I was reading a book that we're actually doing a book club on. So The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. One of the very best books if you want to be more successful and more effective. And it opens the book with this very simple paradigm, which is the personality ethic versus the character ethic. And in other words, the tools versus the technician, the technique versus the technician. So you've heard Kevin and I talk a lot about tactics versus deeper understanding. And you've also heard us talk a lot about how character is over everything. Mm. This is the best way I know to explain this concept. So you can have the best hardware in the world, the best computer in the world, but if it has crappy software, it's going to be buggy and it's going to crash and it's going to suck. And so all of us are the technicians, and we can have the best laptop and the best education and the best techniques and the best sales skills. But if we don't have the character of self-discipline, of integrity, of pure intentions, of work ethic, of prudence, which is the ability to make the right decision, consistency, if you don't have that, it doesn't really matter. Like, you could be out there right now and you could know business more than me. You could have a higher awareness of business than me. But if you don't have the work ethic and the discipline and the ability to execute and the ability to get outside your comfort zone, it's really not going to matter.
It's interesting because I had a lot of people, specifically clients, but other people that I was talking to, say like, hey, what's your vision? What's your take on Clubhouse, the new app? And I literally said, like, I love it. I think it's awesome that people are doing it. But a lot of people are hoping that's going to be the big thing that brings them success when they're not ready for success because they haven't done the right things.
Right.
It's like, yeah, sure, are you going to get a lot of Instagram followers from it? Sure, maybe.
Right.
Maybe that's the play. But it's also, you have to create a new discipline. I was talking to Eddie Pinero the other day. Shout out to EP. And he was talking about somebody that we know mutually. And he's like, honestly, he's in there from 7 in the morning till 7 at night every day. Every day. That's what he does. Like, he is in Clubhouse constantly. Now, is that part of his business? Probably. But for a lot of people, something new comes out and they try to ride the wave of it.
I know.
And if you're not podcasting is a great analogy. Okay. Right now, I believe there's like just over 2 million podcasts. Mm-hmm. 75% of those, it's an estimated, 75% of those podcasts are no longer in production.
Right.
AKA they quit. 99% of the remaining and podcasts that have quit never make a dime.
Yep.
So think about that. If you jumped on the wave to be successful with podcasting, it's not the wave. You have to figure out how to surf.
Right.
You could be on the best wave in the world. If you don't know how to surf it, you're going to end up, what do they say? What do surfers say when you bite it?
I genuinely don't know.
I know they say wipeout. I'd have to do a little surfer knowledge research. If you're a surfer, let me know.
But that's the thing. A lot of people jump on trends, but they don't necessarily have the character to sustain what their talent takes them to or what the trend takes them to.
When you say character, I think my natural reaction is to think like, I don't know, I don't think discipline when I, You know what I mean?
Self-discipline is a character trait, I believe.
When I think character, I think like humility, generosity. I don't think I think of discipline, but it is one.
Right.
So if you're listening, Alan's talking about that too.
Well, let's do this. So, and this is going to be a good contemplative episode. I can already tell. All right, let's say I give Kevin. You know what? No. Who's someone? Okay, let's say I have a hypothetical friend who is very lazy, who doesn't have a lot of aspiration, who doesn't have very much self-discipline at all. Like they don't really have the ability to force themselves to do what they don't feel like doing. Okay? In other words, they never go to the gym. They want to go. They say they want to go, but they don't do it. And they're not really very generous. They don't really tend to think of others before themselves. They tend to just kind of hang out. Okay, blah blah blah. That's the person. That's the person's character. I can give them the best laptop. I can give them the best phone. I can give them the best course. I can give them the best branding advice in the world. And let's say they want to start a podcast. I can give them all the tips and tricks. Kevin and I have an 18-point podcast assessment of how to grow your show and how to make a positive impact in the world in this industry. It almost doesn't matter because you can have the best blueprint in the world, but if you can't show up to work consistently, you're never going to build the house. It just doesn't matter. And so a technique is important because it'll help you build the house better and faster. But if you're not a builder and you can't show up, it won't matter. And I think that one of the things Kevin and I wanted to talk to you about today is I have some clients who I know will win regardless of me. They'll win faster with me because I can give them more techniques and a deeper understanding of themselves, and I can help them improve the already virtues they have. There are other clients, and I mean this with love, that honestly I can help them succeed, of course. I can help them get to the next level, but they almost won't win unless they change their character, unless they develop more self-discipline, unless they develop more humility, unless they develop more work ethic. And I think that it all comes down to this as well. I was talking to a client recently, and I basically said, we've had Doc Jen Fit on the show, okay? Doc Jen, sweetheart. If you don't know who she is, look her up on Instagram. I think it's called Doc Jen Fit, so DocJenFit. So Doc Jen Fit. And for the last, I don't know how long it's been. I want to say probably 7 or 8 years straight. She's been adding value on Instagram for physical therapy for like 7 or 8 years straight. She has 2,563 posts on Instagram. And all of them are really good. Yeah, genuinely. She has great content. So she has Mobility Method, and she's got an online business, and she's got a podcast, and she's doing really well. But what people don't realize is that Doc Jen Fit, for the last 8 years, has been on Instagram every single day, multiple times a day. That's the one thing that never stopped. Her consistency and her work ethic has just been, it's the train that never stopped rolling. Just like us, 5 episodes a week. It's not about just the value of the show. The show's gotten better. And I think we've gotten better, and that's great. And we've got different techniques, and we've got ways to grow the team and grow the show and grow the listens, and we've got different social media. But at the end of the day, if you can't be consistent, if you don't have the work ethic to work when you don't want to work, and to grind when you don't want to grind, and to show up when you don't want to show up, you can have the best techniques in the world, you can have the best tools and laptops and technology in the world, but it really just won't matter in the long run. What matters is the technician. I look at the technician far more than the techniques. I always have. And I try to improve the technician more than just the tools.
I think that another good analogy is the lottery thing. I mean, it's very similar to what we're talking about is like, Taryn and I were talking about this recently, and I couldn't get my point across. I wasn't communicating very well. But I basically said, like, there's people out there that if they won the lottery, that's not what I said. I said, there's so many people out there who have won the lottery who end up with less money than they had to begin with. Mm-hmm. And I said, I think that's probably a pretty large percentage of the human population. And her and I didn't necessarily agree on it. But then looking back, it's like, well, Taryn, you're way better at saving money than many people, and you're also like looking into investments and stuff. I think your acumen might be higher than you realize.
Right.
And
she probably doesn't play the lottery.
No, I don't think she does. But the thing about it is like, okay, the reason most people don't hang on to the money is because they don't have the systems in place to get it in the first place, which means when they get it, the odds of you creating and tracking your finances when somebody gives you $1 million isn't high. It's actually higher when you have less money.
Yes.
And I think we've talked about, you could give somebody the body of their dreams, and if they haven't figured out the habits to sustain that, it probably wouldn't last very long.
It'll go back.
Podcast, relationship, speaking career, all of those things, it's because you don't necessarily have the framework underneath. You don't have the foundation.
Exactly.
You can put up a nice house, but if there's a gust of wind and it doesn't have a foundation, it's probably not going to stay standing for very long. And I think it's a great analogy because it's been proven that most people end up squandering the money away. And I'm pretty sure there's a study that said like 75 to 80% of lottery winners say they're more unhappy after they win the money.
Yep.
And I think it's probably because they don't necessarily have the systems and or character in place to sustain it. So that's a whole nother topic. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching this or listening to this, it's obvious that you want to get to the next level of your life. We can help you get there faster.
In 3 months from today, your life can look completely different. Here's how. Group coaching. Here's what you're going to get. So you're going to get bi-weekly calls with Kevin and myself. You're going to be on a team of 10 like-minded, growth-oriented individuals. You're also going to be in a WhatsApp chat with Kevin and I and the entire team, 24/7 access to chat. Also, you're going to get bi-weekly progress reports and peak performance tracking.
Guys, this is a great opportunity for those who can't afford one-on-one coaching with Alan and myself. We have helped dozens and dozens of people get to the next level at this point. Go to nextleveluniverse.com, click group coaching, or find the link in the show notes.
Talk to you soon. I think they're connected, and I'm glad you talked about that. You know what I find interesting is, so I wrote an article a long time ago, and you've heard me talk about it. It's called the Powerball Mentality. And you've heard really, I don't mind saying this, and this isn't me saying it, but I think I want to overcome my fear of saying certain things that I do think have value, but I think might offend people. Some people say that the lottery is a tax on the stupid. And I don't say that, but I do think there's some truth in it to the extent of mathematics. I mean, if you're playing the lottery, it's mathematically rigged against you. Mm-hmm. There is no way to win the lottery, really. How do I explain that? Some of the Powerball, you have a better chance of being struck by lightning twice than you do of winning. And so mathematically, it's a tax on the non-mathematical. I think that's probably a kinder way to say it. And mathematics people do not play the lottery. They don't because they're more aware of the fact that it's a losing game. So here's what I would say. And we'll get back to the character ethic versus the personality ethic and the tool versus the technician, the technique versus the technician. I wrote an article called The Powerball Mentality. If you play Powerball, I'm not judging you. I want to extend an olive branch to you. If you're playing the Powerball, that means that subconsciously you want massive rewards for very little effort. See, Taryn disagreed with you, but Taryn probably wouldn't play the lottery because Taryn's too smart to play the lottery because it's a system that's rigged against her. Mm-hmm. And so Taryn saves money and does well with money and makes a good amount of money. Taryn's character exceeds that. So if Taryn won the lottery, she would end up keeping the money and having a more fulfilling, amazing, abundant life. The problem is that the people who would keep the money and actually benefit from the money aren't the people playing. And that's a fascinating understanding of what we're talking about here. If you don't have the character and the skills to actually create wealth, how can you expect to have the character and the skills to keep it?
Yeah.
And I think that that's what we're talking about here. And I know that a lot of that, what I just said, probably triggered people because I know a lot of your loved ones or even you play the lottery. I have too. I've bought scratch tickets. I've gambled. I used to count cards playing blackjack. Like, I'm not necessarily proud of a lot of that. But here's what I would tell you. Wanting big rewards for minimal effort is a losing game statistically.
Well, and the other thing is you don't build the discipline, you don't build the understanding, you don't build the habits, you don't build the techniques, you don't build
the network.
You don't build the thick skin. That's the other thing. That's the interesting part. It's interesting because Alessandro and I were talking a while ago, And if you guys don't know Alessandro, he is a world class photographer.
So good.
What is his? Is it just Alessandro Carpentieri on Instagram for his like?
Yeah, Alessandro.Carpentiero.
Carpentiero, pronounce his name.
Yeah,
wrong.
I can spell it if you want me to, but
CARP. You do it.
okay, Carpentiero. So Alessandro, as it sounds, period. Carpentiero, CARPENTIERO.
Boom.
Yep.
So he is like a world class photographer.
Very good.
And I remember him and I talking, and I was like, man, if I had the followers you had, this would be such a different game for us.
Yeah.
But what I'm not taking into effect is how many negative messages he probably got in growing 270,000 followers.
Oh, yeah.
How many, the consistency he had to partake in to post every single day and make sure he was responding. He responded to every single message.
And the editing of those photos,
Right.
man, he's so good.
He is. He's so good.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't think of that. Even me, I didn't think of that. I was like, dude, if we had 275,000 followers between us, we'd be like at the next level. But maybe. But
Right.
also, what if we didn't have the habits? You know, how many followers would you lose because you didn't post? Because you know what I
Right.
mean? And the thing is, you'll never know unless it happens. But the odds of it happening are so slim. It's this
What we
weird
should have
thing.
been asking is, what skills did Alessandro?
Right.
What virtues did Alessandro? What character traits did Alessandro? It's like we want the result, but do you want the skills and character underneath the result? Like when you buy a home, you don't just want the beautiful 2-car garage and the drone photo. You want the foundation too. And a lot of people aren't looking in the basement. There are some homes, and I've been looking with Emilia. The very first thing we do when we go in is we look at the roof and we look at the basement. We don't even look at the house. Like, we look at the roof and the basement first because that's the bones of the house, for lack of better phrasing. I'm using real estate terms here. And I didn't know any of that at the beginning, right? Like, it's like you can have a crappy car with a beautiful engine inside, and that thing can go. And you can also have a Lamborghini with a crappy engine inside. I think it's just, you got to be careful of what's under the hood.
Yeah. And it's so important to check in with what are the habits that you're practicing.
Right.
Again, we're going back to what's a good example. Okay, so the takeaway for me from this episode, if you have a podcast and you contact Jeff 1 and Jeff 2 to help you with your podcast, it's only going to go as well as the effort that you're putting in.
Yep.
I tell people that all the time. Working with us is 1,000% going to help, but you're not going to get 100% results with 50% of the effort.
Right.
You're not going to get 100% of the results with 100% of the effort.
That's a whole nother topic.
Eventually, it'll get close.
It'll
right?
it'll actually be 1,000x.
Here we go.
With
Numbers.
Yeah,
numbers.
If you
But
consistently do it.
For this example, your effort in and your understanding and your tactics and your character, you are the reason. You're the biggest reason whether or not you'll succeed.
Oh, for sure.
People can help you and they can elevate you and we can help you get to the next level when you listen to this. But you could listen to 580, what is this? 6? However many episodes we have, 585. You could listen to every single one of the episodes we have, and if you don't decide to do something different, nothing will change.
Yep.
Maybe your mindset and you'll have a deeper understanding. But if you don't say, look, I'm going to take action on something I've never taken action on before.
Right.
I'm going to have that tough conversation. Somebody reached out to me today and said, hey, after the One Courageous Moment episode, I literally told my family how much money I had been spending on porn.
Wow.
And he was like, it was so incredibly hard. And I was like, I can imagine that must have been unreasonably hard. But he took the inspiration from our episode, then brought it into real life as a tactic, and then got the result.
Right.
And now that weight is lifted off of his shoulders. So that's my goal here, my challenge. I will challenge each and every one of you to, when you leave an episode, if you feel inspired, you feel motivated, you feel like, wow, that really resonated with me, go do something. Go do something. Take a new action, because a new understanding is amazing, but a new understanding paired with a new action is a new life.
100%. 100%.
Boom.
You've heard Kevin and I talk about this in the past, but an axe in the hands of a terrible person could hurt someone. An axe in the hand of a master builder could build a house. And I think that's really the analogy here. The axe stayed the same. It's a tool. It's a technique. But the person building the home, the standards of that human being, it's completely predicated on what you want. If you want, and this is the last thing that I'll say, and we'll go here. I could literally put 50 pounds on Kevin waving a magic wand. 50 pounds. I could literally do it. 50 pounds of pure fat.
Please don't.
I won't. In a year or two, he's going to end up looking exactly like he does right now. Why? Because that's his personal development set point. He knows how to lose weight. And I could also do the same to someone who's obese. And this is not me trying to be insensitive, but I could take 50 pounds off. And if they don't change their habits at all, or their thinking, or their feelings, or their self-worth, or no character changes, eventually they're going to be back to that level. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's very, very true. And when we coach all these people and you study human beings, this will actually be the last thing I say. Okay. I don't know if anyone out there listening uses the stock market. Some of the people that are really good in the stock market, what they do is they look at a company and they predict future success. So they buy stock in a company that they know will win. So Apple, it sells for, I don't know, probably $450 per share or something like that. If you believe that Apple will be successful 5 years from now, you should buy Apple now, hold it, and then sell it 5 years from now for a huge profit. You're betting on Apple's character. You're betting that Apple has the habits necessary to succeed in business. Humans are the same way. If you are out there right now and you wouldn't bet on yourself, ask yourself why. Is it because you don't have self-discipline? Is it because you're not as in integrity as you could be? Is it because you don't have very many skills? Is it because you don't read a lot of books? Like, if you wouldn't bet on you, you got to look into why that is, no matter how many techniques or tools or motivational videos you watch.
Heart-driven is always our goal, and no BS. So sometimes we might come off as a little hardcore, but it's because we're passionate about helping each and every one of you, and everything we say is always with love. A lot of it is what we wish we heard sooner, other people aren't willing to tell people. That's a whole nother series of episodes we'll be able to do. Ladies and gentlemen, we have made some changes in our next level Meetup Monday. So now, instead of having to find a Zoom link, all you have to do is join Next Level Nation, and we will be streaming live there every single Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then in the description of that live video, we will have a Zoom link that will take you directly to the post-speech meetup, where you can chat with the team. You're going to meet other people who want to get to the next level. You can learn about people, what they do, where you can help them, where they can help you. Again, everybody wants to strengthen their community, and that is one of our main focuses, is helping you guys strengthen yours.
The next level does not come by accident. It comes by proactive effort. I was talking to one of our team members earlier today, and I said that effort and intentions and your approach always precede. They come before results.
Dropping things.
So if you want a new result, you must check in on your effort, your intentions, and your approach. And the reason I'm telling you that is one text message, or rather direct message via Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn to Kevin or myself, and we can come in to your organization, whether it's a middle school, high school, company, charity, nonprofit, you name it. We can come in and help your team optimize their effort, their intentions, and their approach to get new results. Results are the last part of the equation. Send us a simple DM, and we're doing free speeches for each listener. If you're a listener who hasn't already opted into this, we're giving one free virtual speech to your organization.
Touch my foot. Sometimes Alan touches my foot with his foot.
Sorry about that.
Also, round 3 of group coaching is now open, and that's something we are planning on filling very quickly. So again, if you want to, what is it? It's a lot of accountability. It's a lot of support. It's a lot of meeting people who have the same goals in mind. It's getting in a room with Alan and I every other week where we're going to talk to you and the rest of the group about what we think is going to get you to the next level, but you're also going to have our support. We know how important that is, and you're going to have the support of the other 9 people as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you. The next episode you're going to hear, Alan and I were interviewed on a podcast, Jeff Lopez. What was it called? Jeff Knows Inc.
Yep.
So it was, as you know, we say a lot of Jeffings. We didn't say any of those on this episode, but it was a very unique episode where Jeff asked us a lot of different questions that we didn't normally get asked. So it was a really good back and forth, a longer episode than we usually do on a Alan and I guesting. It's usually like 20 to 40. This was about an hour or so. Just hitting puberty here. We hope you will enjoy, and we will see you on the next one. And as always, we don't have fans, we have family.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.